Good morning, readers. If you haven't already, go ahead and get out your reading learning intention sheet. Write in today's date, which is January, so you write a 1, and it is the 13th, so write 13. Today, as a reader, I am working on thinking about characters' perspectives. A perspective is a point of view. Make sure you also fill in the book that you are reading. That would be your historical fiction book. A character's choices and feelings are often influenced by the character's world. Think about Anne-Marie from Number the Stars. The things that she did were influenced by the war that was happening in her country. So, when you're reading your historical fiction book and a character responds differently than you do, it is really important that you ask yourself why. That you think about why that character is making the choices that they are making and doing the things that they are doing. We're going to practice this together. When I think about Number the Stars, the first thing that comes to mind that was weird to me was when the German soldier said halt, which means stop. Anne-Marie and Ellen were really scared when that happened. And I was thinking to myself, why are they scared just because a soldier told them to stop? When I think about myself, I know that I wouldn't be scared if I was walking down the street and someone told me to stop. If we consider what's going on around Anne-Marie and Ellen, then it makes it easier to understand why they were scared. They were scared because these soldiers were on every street corner and they were controlling the lives of the people that lived there. Their parents were scared of these soldiers. Everyone was scared of these soldiers. So when these soldiers asked them to stop, of course they were scared too. Readers, I'd like you to practice this work now. I'm going to read a passage from Number the Stars, and I want you to think about the characters' reactions as I read it. Remember, it helps to ask why the characters are doing the things that they are doing or feeling the way that they are feeling. I must go and speak to Ellen, Mrs. Rosen said, moving toward the door. You girls walk a different way to school tomorrow. Promise me, Anne-Marie, and Ellen will promise too. We will, Mrs. Rosen, but what does it matter? There are German soldiers on every corner. They will remember your faces, Mrs. Rosen said, turning in the doorway to the hall. It is important to be one of the crowd, always. Be one of many. Be sure that they never have a reason to remember your face. She disappeared into the hall and closed the door behind her. He'll remember my face, Mama, Kirsty announced happily, because he said I look like his little girl. He said I was pretty. If he has such a pretty little girl, why doesn't he go back to her like a good father, Mrs. Johansson murmured, stroking Kirsty's cheek. Why doesn't he go back to his own country? Readers, as I read that, I noticed that the three characters in this section talked differently about the same event. So I noticed that Mrs. Rosen seemed really frightened by the event and made the girls promise that they would walk a different way. And then I noticed that Kirsty didn't seem frightened at all. She didn't really seem to care. She was actually just happy that the soldier thought that she was pretty. And then Mama didn't seem quite as frightened, or I should say Mrs. Johansson didn't seem quite as frightened, but she just seemed a little more angry that the soldiers were there. Turn and talk with your partner now about why these three characters would have different reactions. Readers, I hope that you and your partner came to the conclusion that these three characters have different reactions because they have different points of view or different perspectives. Mrs. Rosen is Jewish, so the events that are happening would really frighten her. Kirsty is just a little girl, so nothing about the events is really frightening to her. She doesn't really understand what's going on. And Mrs. Johansson, while she is affected by the events, she is not Jewish, so the events are making her more angry than frightened. Readers, today you will read your historical fiction book. Then you will add to your timeline for the book you're reading. Finally, remember to ask why when characters act differently than you would expect. Let's make it a great reading day.